Welcome, everybody. I'm Kathy Solomon, and I'm pleased to welcome you to tonight's South Kingstown Town Council Candidate Forum. I am a member of this congregation, which is the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of South County. We don't call it that, we just call it the UU, because it's a lot easier. We're providing the space tonight for the forum because we believe in the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within both our congregation and society at large. I'd like to acknowledge the UU members that are here that helped put this together, and a special shout out to Team Bowen, who led this idea into reality. Thanks. The forum will be moderated by the South County chapter of the League of Women Voters. Here's a few notes about the League, of which I am also a member. The League is a nonpartisan organization. We encourage informed and active participation in government, like this forum. And get this, the League has been working to engage all Americans in the democratic process for over 100 years. Working together, the UU and the League are presenting this forum to help you be an informed voter in this experiment called democracy. We especially wanted to focus on the town level because too often we pay more attention to the national or the state level. Then you get in the voting booth and you're like, who are these guys? Meanwhile, it's the local decisions that will have the most direct effect on your daily lives. So we asked the audience to be silent during the forum. No talking, no shouting out, no applause, no displaying of campaign sign or props. So I'd like to welcome the candidates and thank them for agreeing to participate in this forum. I want to note that we have one candidate who could not make it tonight, and when we get to the statements, I'll read that person's statement. Before I introduce, I would like to remind the candidates that this event is being recorded, and the link to it will be shared with you and throughout the community. In order to get good audio for the recording, as well as for our audience to hear me well, please stand when you answer questions and hold the mic up really close to your mouth and speak slowly so that everybody can hear you. Thank you. So before I introduce our moderators, I want to point out that the bathrooms are behind you on either side of the wall in the hallway. There are 4 exits. The one that you came in over here, an exit out this way, an exit through that door to outside, and then way in the back, there's stairs that go downstairs and lead to a door there. Please silence your cell phones if you haven't already. And now, let me turn over the mic to our League moderators, Nina Rosamondo and Christine Martone, and they will explain the rules of the forum. Thank you. Oh, okay. We can do it again.
Okay, good evening. Apparently 2 of the candidates are not here. I'm just wondering whether you 2 would like to move over. Sure. I don't know what we'll do if okay, then let's a little move to your rights. Thank you. Stay put and okay. Okay, I am voter services chair for the League of Women Voters of South County, and this is what we call an invited forum. You invited the League to moderate for this event. So, as voter services chair, I'd like to describe the format for this evening's forum, so that the live, those of you here, and digital audiences are aware of the rules. There are 11 candidates. We're expecting 8, but there are only 6 here tonight, running for the 5 seats on the South Kingstown Council. A number were told us they were unable to attend. One, Mr. Sweet, is sending a representative, and when these candidates give their closing statement, his statement will be read by Ms. Solomon. And one candidate responded no to our invitation. Okay, the candidates already have drawn numbers for their seating, which therefore hopefully is random. And as I said, this recording will be streamed. It will be recorded by the volunteers from the UU congregation. And the recording will be posted on the League of Women Voters Facebook page. Someone from the congregation will send you the link when it becomes available. Questions were submitted by the UU congregation members and vetted this evening by the president and myself of the South County League. If more than one question addressed the same issue, the League selected which question to ask. And in general, we pick one question from the topic that is most frequently sent to us. In vetting the questions, the League reserves the right to change the wording to be as neutral and as clear as possible. Each question asked will be attributed to the person who submitted it. A large number of questions were received, so not all the questions will be asked. We decided not to have an opening statement so that we could ask the candidates more questions, but there will be a closing statement of 1 minute. Each candidate will be asked each question and will have 1 minute to answer. A candidate may choose to pass answering any question. The first question will be addressed to candidate number 1, Mr. Beasley, and followed by candidate 2. We'll go down the line all the way. The second question will be asked to Mr. Wegimont?
Wegimont, yes.
Wegimont, okay, excuse me. And then number 3 down the line and back to number 1. Each candidate should get the opportunity to be first to answer at least one question. Each candidate has also been given 2 wild cards, 2 colored cards, which may be used only once each, and they may use it to add 30 seconds to their response or to make a comment on somebody else's response. There are 2 timers who will give a 30-second and a 50-second warning. They are League members, Nancy McLean and Jean Arthur, sitting over there. Candidates may complete their sentence when the stop sign is raised. And that's it. Okay. Going back to the wild cards, let me suggest to you that when you raise a card, the moderator will call on you, and you can use the cards really to differentiate your position from someone else's. Okay, what else is this? Okay, when we get to closing statements, we're going to start on the other end. We're going to start on candidate number 6 over there, and it will progress from right to left. Okay, and we will end with the statement from Mr. Sweet. We ask that the candidates shut off their phones, as well as would the audience please shut off their phones and any other digital device that you may have. Please hold your applause until the last candidate has finished their last closing statement. And now I'd like to turn this forum over to our President, Christine Martin.
Well, good evening. It's great to see so many people here and so interested in what's going on. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Higher. Okay, Liz. So candidates, please stand to answer the questions and pass the mic to the next person when finished. Please state your name the first time you answer a question. Be sure to place your face close to the mic so that people in the back of the room and online can hear you. So with that, we'll go to it and get your questions going. Question number 1 will go to Mr. Beasley. Workforce housing for those with incomes of $50,000 to $100,000 is needed as much as low-income housing. Do you support using town-owned property, such as our unused schools, for this? What else do you propose for workforce housing?
I absolutely endorse using the property where our schools have closed, Curtis Corner, especially the over 50-acre parcel. Also, I believe that the town could change their zoning laws to allow micro lots, which are like 4,000 to 7,000 square foot lots, similar to what you find in East Greenwich on the east side of Main Street when across the tracks. Very compact neighborhoods, very small lots with very small homes. If those kind of lots were just put into the urban centers where we have sewers, then it would be a really viable possibility, and might get construction people to go and invest in that kind of stuff.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Jay Wegimont. I just want to thank you all for being out here tonight. And I think the League of Women Voters for having this event, and UUCSC for hosting us. Yes, we do need workforce housing for our first responders, right? Our police, our fire, UFD, it's all volunteer. Now, I was at the memorial service the other day, and the amount of calls has gone up to about 1,800 or more a year. And where are our first responders coming from, right? They're coming from our high school, and they're aging out in our community. We need to support them, and we need to make sure that that workforce housing is done in a very strategic way, right? Affordable housing is needed across the board, whether it's workforce housing, whether it's senior affordable housing. And as a counselor, as one of 5 on the town council, I'm going to get creative and work with our partners, the town council members that are already here, the council members that are going to be going forward, to make sure that we have a creative and a holistic approach to all of it. So yes, workforce housing, affordable housing, that's a yes.
Good evening. Thank you for hosting this forum, and thank you all for attending tonight. My name is Rory McAntee. And to answer the question, yes, I absolutely support reuse of the vacant school buildings toward workforce housing, particularly those in the 80% to 120% AMI, annual median income. That is those in between 50,000 to 100,000 per year income. We are currently working on this as a town council. We've had 3 to 4 public sessions where we sought input from the community. We want to move toward reusing these public school buildings toward housing. We want to start with South Road School. That's one of them. We also have Wakefield School. There's also Oliver Watson property in Kingstown. We want to begin with South Road School because we believe there's a particular aspect there where we could do a zoning that would allow for high density zoning, where we could have smaller homes there that are more affordable, really addressing the need for the missing middle, as I call it. But other than that, there's other areas I wish to address, we're working on now, and I wish to continue to address once we're elected. We are working to address zoning in our downtown areas to allow for mixed use, to allow both commercial and housing. That will allow for expanded housing in areas where it's walkable, would cause less traffic congestion. But in addition to that, the council's been active in allocating 100%. There's a policy decision recently, the last enacted budget. We are allocated 100% of the real estate conveyance fees that we collect from real estate transactions toward affordable housing fund. we're really starting to ramp that up. And we hope that we can use that to really start up well worth affordable housing initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you to the UU and the League of Women Voters for having us. So absolutely, affordable housing has been a priority of the first term that I served, and also this term we are working in a number of ways, because really the cost of homes and rentals is really out of reach for many people. If you pay attention, you hear people struggling. It's not just the first responders, it's the nurses, it's the teachers, it's our young graduates who are all seeking housing here in this beautiful community that we love. So I believe that we all need to work together to serve this. We will never answer housing in 30 seconds. So we need to increase the housing options that are available. In our first term, we changed the cottage zoning and accessory dwelling ordinances. And now we're working on those 3 properties that we did discuss. We've held a series of meetings because we want the input of the community. It is a council decision, but I believe that we need to hear from the community before we make any decisions about what happens. For now, thank you.
Hi, I'm Patti Alley, and thank you to everyone that's here and also to the league. I agree with everything that my colleagues have said, but I just want to maybe add a couple of things. So I too am very interested in turning our properties into housing, and South Road is the one that is closest to being ready. This council over the last 2 years has worked very hard to push this idea of housing forward, and we're very keen to partner with hopefully with a nonprofit so that we can get as much workforce housing as possible. And as a town, we can work for the infrastructure grants to be able to prepare the property for development. The other thing that I'd really like to focus on is ADUs. And we as a council have gone even further than the state went by deeming them affordable for 30 years. Tax-free.
Good evening, my name is Mike Marran. I'm a member of the council now. Thank you to the league for sponsoring this event. The short answer to the question about using town property for housing, yes, I'm in favor of it. It was this council that started the process for 3 of our properties, the Oliver Watson home in Kingston, South Road School, and Wakefield Elementary, which was recently shut down. I don't know if you attended the South Road School workshop, but one of the things that was very encouraging is nobody, including all of the neighbors that came to hear, said that they were opposed to it. It was simply a question, they disagreed a little bit on density. Everybody in town knows that housing is an issue. And it seems like we have a consensus to do something with our properties. In addition to that, Rory mentioned the housing fund, and we need to look at public partnership with some of the nonprofits. We've had discussions, and there's actually projects going on now with the Johnny Cake Center. We're also talking with the Women's Development Project and Habitat.
That last question was submitted by Kenny Hall. I'm sorry, I have not mentioned her. The next question is from Pam Mead. It says, how do you balance required development with the current push to grow a year-round population? Sure. How do you balance required development with the current push to grow a year-round population?
How do you balance it? Well, first, it's about listening to the community. The community has been coming out in force and drive to tell the town council what they need, and they've been open ears, and they have been telling the town management to listen to them, and they've been going out and having community meetings. It's about listening, right? I'm born and raised in this town, and it had the amount of snowbirds and other non-residents living in our town has been exacerbated since COVID. So how do we do that? We make it easier to have, you make it easier to live in this town, right? Has been proactive in making sure that the tax rate is reasonable. And as someone that supports the Homestead Act going forward in the next town council, I would say that making sure that families and seniors can live here and want to invest here is the best way to have that balance and encourage year-round residency. If you're a half-time resident, I want you to move back to South Kingstown.
Okay, so how do you balance the need for development with the current push toward year-round residency? I believe these two things are very related. When you talk in terms of wanting to grow the tax base, you think naturally of business development. But the council here, we're trying to increase the tax base by doing business development, but also housing development. And I say those are tied because when you encourage economic growth in the form of business development, that creates more jobs. That creates more people coming here to work here. And when we talk about things like wanting to address the missing middle for affordable housing, that allows us to address that area where there's a need for new workers that can't find a price point into the market. That's how I think these are related. That's how we balance it. We do it smart, we do it wise and strategically. And I think this council currently has been addressing that and making a move toward that direction. And I intend to continue to lead that effort if reelected.
So during COVID, I feel like people rediscovered what we knew was great about South Kingstown. It's a great place to live and raise your family. It's beautiful here, and a lot of people either bought a second home or they came here. They're doing half time. We are looking right now in the council. We passed a short-term rental registry, not an ordinance that precludes short-term rentals, but we need information about really what the town looks like. Is it 20% year-round summer rentals? We need to figure out what it is, and then we need to enact appropriate ordinances to encourage the right development. We need to expand the missing middle, as I said. There's not a lot of incentive for a builder to build a average price home of $400,000. They're looking at, you can look at things that are selling for $900,000 in the town. So we need to figure out how to incentivize that while still upholding the character that brought us all here and keeps us all here. That's one thing.
I think one of the things, like Deb was discussing, that's super important when we're talking about a year-round population is the short-term rentals. And during the pandemic, as Deb stated, the composition of our town changed greatly. And so the next council in the beginning of January will have access to data that will be able to be analyzed in regards for a homestead exemption, as well as to look at, business and all sorts of things related to, how we can increase the tax base by encouraging business. And also, with the homes, it's all very much connected, all of these issues. And it really is a balancing act. And you have to have information to make good decisions. And we will have, or the next council, which I hope to be a part of, will have very good information.
I think to balancing development and year-round population growth is planning. We need to be very mindful of what our ordinances and our regulations require. We need to be welcoming both to business and residential development. And part of the pressure in South Kingstown is that we're being influenced by out-of-state residents buying second homes, retirement homes, seasonal homes that are pushing up everybody's prices. What we have to do is make sure that our tax policy and our planning for development focuses on full-time permanent residents.
Unfortunately, I believe that the town of South Kingstown demographically is a town in decline. From 2010 to 2020 census, there was zero population increase in South Kingstown. The only population increase that was shown was the number of students who live on campus at URI. We have for decades have taken preserved land, conserved land, and I think it's time to end that process. We can't afford to continue to put land out of the ability for developers to build homes throughout the entire community. Thank you.
All right, our next question comes from G. Burke. Would you comment on conditions at South County Hospital and what should be done to improve care and encourage retention of quality staff?
Excellent question. I've been talking to a lot of community members in the past month or so, and a lot of them have great concerns about what's happening internally at the hospital. I've heard a lot about displeasure with management, changes in practices, changes in policies, and they are a huge part of our community. One of the biggest employers in town, one of the biggest economic engines in our town here in South Kingstown. The council currently has been trying to work with the management of South County Hospital just to bring them to the table, have an open meeting with them, just so the community can get a better sense of what's happening, what is the management doing to try to address the concerns of the physicians and other medical staff there at the hospital. The council in particular has certain dealings and influence over the hospital, is trying to assist them in addressing their parking measures, trying to do help them with land acquisition. So really, we want to bring management to the table, have an open discussion. We're moving toward that. We want to have a work session with them, and we hope that they're willing to, they've expressed their willingness to do it. So we hope to have that session and allow the community to be there to get as much information as possible, because we want them to succeed the best that they can. Thank you.
At the last town council meeting, I asked that we invite the South County Hospital leadership to a meeting with us. I'm hopeful that that's going to happen before October 15th, which is our next meeting. My father was a hematologist, oncologist, so when I heard that the oncology, several doctors walked away, I was very concerned. So we need to keep the hospital here for our community. It's the only, I can't think of the word, non-affiliated with Lifespan or Care, New England or Yale, whatever that word is today. It's not there, but they're not affiliated, and so we need to keep that here for us. That's where a lot of us get our care. We've had babies there, we've gone there, and when we've hurt ourselves, we need an TR visit. So we need to figure out how to make it work. I think more about the character of myself is that I would be the one to ask the questions, the hard questions, try to get answers. As a social worker, we advocate and address some issues of social injustice. So I think that's where my desire to sort of work for a creative solution that really fits our community needs.
So I'm very concerned about the hospital, like everyone, and I've talked to a lot of people about it. And we are hopeful that we will be able to have an open meeting. With the management, they have said that they will be having a number of other open forums. So we're still sort of waiting to hear whether they're going to be willing to meet with us. It is a private hospital, and as Rory said, we do have some real estate dealings, and we are trying to work through that. South County Hospital is a really important member of our community. We all have had care there. We've taken our parents there, had our children there, and we really appreciate the staff that are there working hard for us every day. We really hope that we can bring management and doctors and staff to the table.
I wish I had an easy, simple answer to this question. town council doesn't have any jurisdiction over how the hospital operates. It is the last independent community hospital in the state. It's facing the same pressures that medicine everywhere is. We are asking for a workshop to see if it's something that the community can do. In one respect, I'm going to throw it back at you. You live in the community. You know the members of the board of directors. Talk to them. There's clearly a breakdown in communication between the staff and the management. That's what needs to change.
Biggest problem we have in Rhode Island today, as far as healthcare in our hospitals, is the fact that our reimbursement rate for our physicians in our hospitals is nowhere near what it should be. We're way below neighboring states, Connecticut and Massachusetts. In fact, somebody just told me recently that our physical therapy reimbursements in Rhode Island are 49th out of 50. I had a discussion with Senator Sosnowski last week. I asked her why the two bills, one in the House and one in the Senate, to increase reimbursement rates were held for further study. She goes, well, you know, the lobbyists, the health insurance lobbyists, they kind of got to us and so they were held for further study. That in a nutshell is what's wrong with the state. The Democratic Party's owned this state for 90 years. They shouldn't be doing what the zoning, what the lobbyists say.
I thought you were clapping for me. I was born in South County Hospital. My mom's in the back here. She labored with me. I would probably not be alive without South County Hospital. My grandmother, God rest her soul, died there about 3 years ago, 91 years old. Look, I'm not going to be up here and promise you something that I can't fix. What I will promise you is that South County Hospital is extremely important to me. It's a life-saving place. If we lose South County Hospital, we are in a desert, folks. This is deadly. And I think the best thing that I can promise you is that this next town council, we're going to work extremely hard. So our nurses, right, our CNAs, our doctors can live in South Kingstown and pay taxes, because folks don't work at South County Hospital for the pay. They work there for the quality of life, right? I went to school with all of the sons and daughters of nurses and doctors from South County Hospital. We, as a town council, the next term, have to be vigilant about not promising what we can't fix, and being adamant that South County Hospital needs to remain a fixture in this town. And that's by doing the best job we can do as a town council.
Yeah. Are we ready? Yes, okay. This is from Johnny Rodriguez. What specific measures will you take to stop shoreline erosion?
So I think we see it every year. We see storm surge, we see the beach disappear, we see it all change. I think we need to figure out, well, we really can't fight weather or nature, but we need to figure out what measures we can take to sort of stop that from happening. We did enact not the council prior to coming on coastal regulations about building regulations near the shore, and that's important. But I think we need to listen to the experts, take recommendations from environmental groups, and make decisions where we want to live as close as we can to the shore, but we need to live there safely. We also need to make sure that we protect the natural resources, the beaches that we love are also the reason why we have economic growth in Beck County. So we need to make sure that we're not constantly rebuilding the beach, whether it's because of a jetty further down south or further east or west. It's east or west. And then we need more information on the council. We do have to also pursue grants to fix the problems.
So shoreline erosion and all of the rest of it is something that we think about all the time. And if we turn on the TV now and see the terrible situation in North Carolina, we know that water is a force to be reckoned with. And as a town council, you know, one of the things that is under our auspices is the maintenance of the town beach. So in years past, the beach pavilion has had to be moved and probably will need to be moved in the future. So that's something that we directly plan for under Parks and Rec. A lot of the rest of it is our congressional delegates. And so we work very closely with you know, Congressman Magaziner, Senator Reed, as well as our local representatives in the House and Senate. So that's it.
This one is a personal issue for me. My parents had a beach house at White Harbors for over 50 years until Hurricane Sandy. The beach was then under the house, and the house had to be moved. We wound up selling it. There's only so much you can do. Mother Nature is going to do what she does until we get a handle on climate change. But there are some things we can do, and we have to be careful. When the storms decimated the town beach in December, and in other places in Rhode Island, there was an immediate reaction to go out and buy sand and build it back up. We waited because there was a chance, and as it turned out, we were right. Holding off, we didn't get that sand going right back into the ocean. We held off until Memorial Day. You have to be smart about what you're doing. Second, the Inflation Reduction Act holds out $1 billion for coastal cities and towns specifically to adapt to climate change. I've been talking with Senator Reed's office, Senator White House's office. We're working with the League of Cities and Towns.
I hate to say it, folks, but our town beach is a lost cause. Saturday morning. Now, if you had sand there for Memorial there, it's not there now. Anybody that wanted to actually go in the water now, you have to go across like a boulder field to get out there. And let me tell you, on bare feet, it's not happening. I don't think so. In those two storms you were talking about in December, we lost 6 feet. It was over my head, 6 feet of land gone. That's not coming back. I don't care what kind of things you have. It's not happening. I believe we need to seriously consider saying that we're not going to have a beach there. Hopefully maybe East Mattoon will still be a viable beach. But as far as I'm concerned today, our town beach is no longer a viable beach for people actually to go into the water. It's just not.
So I respectfully disagree that our beach is a lost cause. First of all, our town beach is a matter of public access for the residents of this town. And look, I'm not going to paint a pretty picture of what our town beach looks like when you look at dunes that are 7 feet high. This has been getting progressively worse, but I will not give up on that because that's the same thing they said about the ocean as during Hurricane Sandy. It's still standing. The point is that, as our town council candidates have said tonight, we have to work diligently and loudly to our congressional delegation and work together to make sure that our town planners are advocating for what we need and to tap into those federal funds. Mike Marran is right. The IRA funding is huge, and we need to be strategic and apply for all of them. I give kudos to the town council for voting for the grants, the grant writer at the town, because that's going a long way. We need to continue to advocate and tell the town, which is our job as town council members, to get those grants. Talk to the council or the congressional staff and fight for our beaches because they are worth it.
I agree a lot with what Jay just said here. I mean, we are a deep coastal community and we cherish the beaches we have. We cherish our shorelines. We need to make investments in the shoreline when necessary to make sure that we maintain it. It's a treasured asset for us. We need to make sure it stays that way. Obviously, erosion has had an effect over the last years. It's been ramping up. Storm surge has been causing great erosion, road damage, taking the sand away. But we have to be strategic, as Mike Marran mentioned. There was an opportunity to allocate more funds toward beach replenishment too soon. We decided that didn't make sense. We waited a little bit and we were correct. A lot of it washed back up. We're prepared to make more investment in beach replenishment as necessary. Well, we're going to allocate more funds in the capital improvement plan as necessary to ramp up, to make sure we maintain it and protect the treasure. We're also been diligent at ramping up our grant funds. We have a fund dedicated toward grant match funds, so that way any grants that come up, we're prepared to match, really move quickly to get those. Our administration has been very good at getting those grants, identifying them, and we're going to continue to do so.
This is from Russell Stokes. What is your position regarding building a new high school and how we should pay for it?
Well, voters approved the construction of a new high school last May with a $150 million bond. This was an extensive process, and it was extremely transparent with a number of public meetings. There continues to be meetings, and we receive reports at every single council meeting. I believe that we have an excellent school building committee. I think there's 10 members, 9 or 10 members that have been with the project from the very beginning. We have a really fantastic community involvement. We have you know, a lot to look forward to. One of the things that I'm very excited about is the CTE programming. That is career and technical education. And the current thought is that every student in the United States should have an opportunity to explore that before graduation.
I've been on this issue for 3.5 years. What put me on the school committee to begin with, after the failure of the last bond issue and what led me to run for council. I supported building a new high school. When I was on the school committee, we looked at the facilities. The high school as it exists, 7 years old, it doesn't meet the needs of the kids for 21st century education. It's that simple. We did look at rehabbing. The Department of Education told us it's not worth it. It doesn't make financial sense. So we went to the voters with a plan. Ride approved what the plan was. The voters approved $150 million. The second part of the question in terms of paying for it, yes, there's going to be a tax increase, but it's less than it would be if we waited another 2 years and kicked the can down the road.
Well, there doesn't have to be a tax increase. As a matter of fact, it would be a zero increase in years out. So over the last 23 years, we've lost half of our student population, 4,400 to 2,200. There's a state law that says when you have enrollment decline year to year, you can fund your schools on a per pupil basis instead of level funding them. Now, how many times in the 23 years has our democratically endorsed town councils use that to keep our budget from going haywire? None, zero, ever, never. Now, I've talked about this in town council meetings for the last 3 or 4 years. If we fund our schools on a per pupil basis, we could, what it would do, it would make the school district tighten their budget. It's out of control. For our size enrollment, we have over this year, it's a $68 million budget. That means we're spending $31,000 per student. That's the second highest in Rhode Island to Narragansett. The other thing is, I talked about going into the electric bus business. If we go into the bus business, we could save another $3,000. This year we're spending $6 million to Ocean State Transit to transport our students. If we buy our own buses, which now you can buy with federal funding, so $350,000 bus, another $150,000, we can get the bus business and save half of that money every year. Between those two, that would cover the cost of the taxpayers.
All right, so the really important thing is making sure that the people of South Kingstown, their will and their voice is heard, which is they want the new high school to be built on time and on budget, right? I work for Providence Public Schools. I'm a public information officer, and the schools in Providence, I don't know if you've heard, haven't been great for a couple decades, but in the past 4 years in working with the bonds, 4 new or like new schools have been opened. Why is that important? First of all, our students can really thrive in a building. Secondly, our teachers, our staff, and our students deserve to be in a safer high school. New high schools are built with modern security in mind. So when someone comes in the door, they can't just walk into there. What we're going to do with the town council, we're going to work together to make sure that we can try to expand our tax base in order for taxes to not go up.
I absolutely support the new high school project. It was a townwide vote, approved 55-45 approximately. And as far as I'm concerned, the town council has an obligation to fulfill the wishes of the residents who voted that through. And I can speak about my personal experience at SK High. I graduated in 2011. The education system was great for me. I later went on to get a college degree. I became a certified public accountant. Now I'm an attorney. So it worked well for me. But the only thing that's been missing and is of need is the facilities. The school is not up to date with how it should be. I mean, it really hasn't changed since I've been there. And for those who were there prior to me, can speak to the idea that it hasn't changed in more than 50 years. So we're certainly in need of a new high school. That is the heart of our community. And I was very excited to see that it get approved on the bond referendum election. In terms of how to pay for it, we're going to receive 52.5% reimbursement to pay off the debt service costs over the 20 years of the bond. So obviously that's going to have a tax increase. You know, that's going to come with it, an increase in debt service costs to add to the budget. But we talk a lot about these things about changing zoning, encouraging business development. That's to grow the tax base, to have more revenue coming to the town to alleviate any increase we have to put on the taxpayers to pay for this project. Those are things that we're going to push, continue to look for. We have an obligation to continue what we did this year, which was pass a budget with no tax increase as compared to a prior year. That's the first time I've been able to do it in my 3 terms on council, so I'm very proud of that. But we have to continue to do that going forward.
So the high school, I feel like it's the right place for the high school. I think the last failed vote showed us that we want our in-town high school to be there in its unique and sweet location. The bond was approved for up to $150 million with the original, the most recent estimates, they were coming in 125 to 133. So it may not be as expensive as it was presented in the bond. Second of all, how do you make it affordable? Everyone's acknowledging that the taxes will go up. You have to be comfortable with the people that are on the town council, that they're going to ask the questions of the experts. They're not just going to nod and say, yeah, this is great. Asking questions, getting the information, presenting it so the community can weigh in to make sure that the high school is the right size. Also, we use the data to build the right size high school. I agree the high school is in need of an efficient resizing. It is too large to heat and cool. It is not safe in terms of managing all of those exits. I will come back to this. Thank you.
Okay, this is another from Johnny Rodriguez. What aid can the town council give to the school department to better implement the anti-racism, anti-discrimination, anti-harassment policy passed unanimously by the school committee in December of 2021?
The short answer is the town council doesn't get involved in that. I was one of the members of the school committee that voted for that in 2021. There is an equity audit that is in the works. I'm not sure exactly where the status of that is. Check with the school committee. It is a topic that needs attention. If you don't pay attention, you're never going to know whether there's a problem in the school or not. That was the purpose of passing the policy in the first place. We set out a goal. Now we want to find out, are we meeting the goal that we set? If we don't, we have to do something about it. That's the entire thing.
There's a specific separation between the town council and the school committee. So the town council handles the money, but the school committee gets the school committee does everything else. And it would be hard pressed for, as a member of the town council, to try and tell the school committee how to handle that subject.
I'd echo that. As a town council member, I don't want to wade into something that's not my lane. I want to really focus this term on what the town council person does, work with this team here, and really, really make you all proud. Thanks.
I think as a town council, it's important we support the policies and the goals of the school committee. I strongly believe that a school committee and a town council that are aligned, having good meetings, having thoughtful discussion, open and transparent with each other, accomplish more things on behalf of the community for the community. So, we do control the pocketbook, so to speak. We vote for an appropriation of money to the school committee for them to spend as they wish. But I do believe that as a council, we do have an obligation to support the goals and the policies that we agree with that the school committee has. And I personally agree with the policy vote they took on that. And I will continue to support that. But I look forward to continued discussion with the school committee members about their budget, about their policies, about how they run things there. And I think we have a good working relationship, and it's important to keep that going.
Not exactly familiar with how that policy works in the schools, but I can tell you a little bit about it, about my own values, and I would ask that you look to leaders who represent the values that you hold. One of the things when I came on council in 2020 is we adopted the land acknowledgement statement that we read at every meeting, recognizing our connection with the Narragansett tribe. One of the accomplishments that I did in my work at the University of Rhode Island is in 2017. If you think about who the president was in 2017, I brought forward gender-inclusive housing for all students of all years. It was one of the best accomplishments in a very difficult time. And as far as looking, I think you have to look for people who hold the values that you hold in your heart to represent you. And so while I don't necessarily know how that policy is implemented and carried out, you can look to see other work that I've done. Thank you.
Well, I interpreted the question to be regarding the diversity and equity policy with the school committee that discusses a lot of like transgender rights and things like that that support our students. And as a private citizen, I'm a strong ally of the LGBT community. In fact, I'm on the board of South County Pride. When the group came into the school department meeting to anti-trans policies, as generally going to all of the 39 districts in the state, discussing and advocating for these changes. So I spoke up for that. Even though I'm on the town council, I feel that I still should be able to make my voice heard on those issues. So I'm very supportive of that policy.
Okay, we have time for one more question. Oh, I'm so sorry.
So in the run-up to SK's 300th anniversary, the town council decided to put in the land acknowledgement statement. In that statement, it says, the town of South Kingstown will partner with the Narragansett Indian Nation. So what do we partner with in against intimidation? Nothing. Not a single thing. They get free passes to residents that are members of the tribe who live in South Kingstown, get free beach passes to our beach. That's all.
I'm going to start with Mr. Beasley once more. This is the last question. We have enough time. What is your philosophy on acquiring input from the community? And that's an anonymous question.
Well, we need to expand our community involvement by getting more input from our neighbors who don't live in the gated communities or in the wealthier sections of town. We need representation from every place in town. And we need to ask those people, we need to go out there and actively recruit them to get involved with our councils, with our commissions, or whatever we're developing to help this town prosper. We need to get as many people involved as we can.
I'm very excited to be listening to you if I'm elected as a town council member. I am going to have a meeting every month at a different coffee shop around town. Java, the pub, which has good coffee. West Kingston TLC. We're going to pick a different spot once a month. We're going to have special guests, and I'm going to be sitting there listening to you. You're going to tell me what's going on, a comment, a concern, what I can follow up on, why I'm not listening good enough, right? I'm going to be doing that every month. You can check it out at jaywegimont.com once I'm elected. Look, I love this town. And this town has been so good to me because sometimes we don't agree on everything. But at the end of the day, we still work together. And again, once a month, different coffee shop or restaurant around South Kingstown. I promise you I'm going to have those. Check it out. Looking forward to it.
Acquiring input from the community is really the cornerstone of government. Obviously, how it works is the voters elect the council members serve the residents, and the next election cycles go on from there. But if we don't represent the wishes of the community, then we're not doing our job. And we really shouldn't be elected in another time thereafter. So my philosophy on it is it's very important. It's really the only thing that matters. We represent the people. We deserve to know what the people want and wish. And we are obligated to carry out the wishes of the people. And if we can't do that, that's up to the people to vote in new people. But it's obviously a priority of mine. I've been on the council 3 terms. I'm the current town council president. We allow public comment, and we always allow people to come up, oftentimes beyond the 5-minute mark, and we will continue to do that. We will make changes going forward to have public comment earlier in meetings to encourage as many to come as possible. But really, this begins and ends with the voters and input from you. Otherwise, we cannot represent your wishes.
In 1999, I was pregnant and I went to a town council meeting. A town council member is in the audience. They could verify that this happened. I spoke at the microphone. I'm sure my voice was wavering, and I spoke about an issue. I can't exactly remember, but they called me and they said, "Hey, we heard you. Would you like to become more involved in town politics?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "Are you a Democrat or a Republican?" I said, "I'm a Democrat." And they referred me to how to get involved with the Democrats that were in town. That's how I became involved. I'm not going to use my cards here. Both. This is the last question. So that's how I became involved. And even now, my voice is shaking. I do this all the time. I stand up in front of a meeting. I know how hard it is to be on that side coming up with an issue that's important to you. And so I respect the person who comes and speaks at the microphone and shares their story about whatever their issues are. There are times when I feel that the people are cut off and not welcomed or treated poorly because they have a different view. I may not have your political views, but I have ears that will listen and ask the questions and bring your concerns forward. That's who I am. And so I feel like that we need to do better at that. We need to do better at the microphone, but we also need to have elected officials who go out into the community and talk to people. One of the most transformative experiences I talked about years ago is I met a woman in Wakefield who, I have all my things, so okay. I met a woman who was worried about her roof and how to fix it. And she was like, I need to fix my roof. She didn't get a new roof. She repaired it. She patched it. And so when I make decisions about what happens in this community, I think about the woman who's making a decision about, should I fix my roof, buy glasses, fill a prescription, pay this bill. Every day, that's what I come for. It's not my agenda. A social worker serves others. I don't have self-interest, political ambition, or personal agenda. Thank you.
So my philosophy from acquiring input, I just recently received an email from a voter who thanked me for showing up. I pretty much go to everything, and that was, my term has encompassed the 300th anniversary, and so that provided a lot of opportunity to get to know people and to form relationships. I also try to form relationships through a lot of different groups, very involved with Moms Demand Action. I also am very active on social media, put forth a lot of information there for people, and I really encourage people to reach out with issues. The public comment, I believe that it can be very challenging because it's there for us to listen, but not to respond, and that is frustrating at times.
You both too. That's very done. With respect to public input, the short, easy answer is at every school committee meeting. Sorry, better. Thanks. At every school committee meeting, at every town council meeting, there's an opportunity for public comment. We do listen when people come in. It's not really a time for dialogue, but that can happen after the meeting or before a meeting. We all have individual email addresses. Write to us, either individually or collectively as the town council. I read every email that you send. You can also approach me wherever. For some reason, Green Line Apothecary seems to be the favorite place. Don't hesitate. Waiting for Mom's prescription to come up and talk to me about whatever. That's perfectly fine. And you also, if you're not aware, all of our meetings are also live streamed. You can watch it and then send in comments later or ask about policy positions.
Hang on to that, Mr. Marran.
Okay.
We are now finished with our questions, so we're going to start with our final comments. A minute for the closing statements.
Maybe I should have saved the you know what? I'm gonna just do something a little different. I want to respond to a couple of the things that have been said. Sorry. Thank you. Okay. I want to respond to a couple of the things that said because you have to judge who you're going to vote for in these races. And you're going to hear a lot of ideas. You can ask a lot of questions, but you need to know that some of these ideas have been tested out. The idea of per pupil funding for schools. That was looked at by 2 finance directors for the school department in the town. They went to the Department of Education, and no town in the state does that. And there's a reason for it, because it's just not a good idea. We're not going into the bus business, if I can speak on behalf of the school committee. Our transportation expenses are $5 million plus every year, and we get no state aid for it. Because we're the second largest town in geography, in terms of geography, the second largest town in the state. Jimmy jokes that at low tide we're the first. We don't have the money to buy businesses, buy buses and go into business.
So I'm Patti Alley. I'm on the council now, and I'm running for my second term. I'm gonna use my okay. I don't have to worry. I became involved in politics after a personal tragedy in 2020. I serve from the heart. I really care about my community. I've lived here for almost 20 years. I've raised my daughter here, taken care of my mother, had a business. This is my home. It was very profound to me to serve my first term during the 300th anniversary and to be able to attend all of the functions and to learn about our history and all the people that have lived here. And so I believe that this term on the council has been consumed with the work of moving us forward for the next 300 years. And I believe that's what we're doing with the construction of the new school, the mindfulness of the workforce housing, the missing middle. We need diversity in population. I believe everything that I've learned in my life is from kindergarten. So like Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, we need all different kinds of people in our neighborhood. We can't just have one type. We all found that out during the pandemic, who the essential workers are. And I really believe that this is a once in a generational opportunity to prepare ourselves for anything that comes forward, whether it's climate needs, our schools, our community demographics. We have all the tools to make South Kingstown into a really fantastic town in the state. So thank you.
My name is Deb Bergner and I'm seeking re-election for a third term. My husband CJ and I have lived here in South Kingstown in Colorado for over 25 years. We have 3 children. They all graduated from South Kingstown High School. I'm a native Rhode Islander. I graduated from Brown University with a degree in urban studies. I have a master's degree in counseling and psychological services, and most recently, I went to Rhode Island College during the pandemic to get my MSW degree, fulfilling my long-held dream of doing that work. I feel like my education and my professional background has equipped me to listen, advocate, and to find practical solutions to the issues we deal with on the council. Serving on the town council for the past 4 years has been an honor. As a Democrat with an independent perspective, I'm guided by the values of honesty, collaboration, and integrity. I've worked hard to advocate for responsible governance, affordable housing, and mindful spending of our tax dollars. I approach every town council decision with an open mind, always considering what's best for the community as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you again for hosting this forum, and thank you again to everyone in attendance here. My name is Rory McAntee. I'm an attorney, I'm a certified public accountant, and I'm the current president of the SK Town Council. I'm 31 years old, and I'm an endorsed Democrat running for re-election. I've lived in South Kingstown since I was 2 years old. I've gone to the public schools here, Eastdale, Broad Rock, South Kingstown, and really, I enjoy representing you. I enjoy talking to people, and I enjoy carrying on the town's business for the better of the people. Under my leadership, we've achieved a lot. We got past the municipal court, we passed that, in the past 2 years. We've funded, subsidized affordable housing projects. We are working on ways to increase our commercial zoning in town. We passed a high school bond referendum recently, and all while keeping no tax increase for fiscal year 24-25. But I believe a lot more needs to be done. We need to make sure the high school project is built timely and within cost constraints. We need to continue to fund affordable housing projects, increase the supply of it, and among other things, I respectfully request, my time is ended, but I respectfully request that we vote for me in November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming out. I am Jay Wegimont. I was born and raised in this town, South County Hospital. I went to Stepping Stone, then I went to Tunic Elementary, then Curtis Corner, which was formerly the junior high, and then my mom shipped me to Brown. I have 2 bachelors, fluid science and history from Iona College. I'm earning my master's in public administration from the University of Delaware. I'm speaking quickly, my apologies, but I've always been this way. I'm running for town council for the first time as a Democrat, an endorsed Democrat, because I believe that this town is worth it. This town has given me so much, and I'm gonna fight for all of you. Fight the good fight with my college motto, and I really like it, and I think it's part of my Irish pride. Look, our high school needs to be built on time and on budget. I'm gonna make sure that happens with the good help of these folks. I'm gonna make sure affordable housing remains a priority. We're gonna get creative. And finally, we're going to make sure that our nonprofits and our small businesses are supported so we can fill Main Street that are empty with thriving businesses that are already in households in South Kingstown. I'm Jay Wegimont, and vote for me on November 5th, Road 7. Thanks.
That's a hard one to follow. All right, my name is Durrell Beasley. My family moved here in 1955. My mother was the first school nurse at the South Kingston High School in Columbia Street. I'm an independent. I'm the only independent this year running for town council or anything. I'm the only veteran, I believe, and I'm also the only senior citizen. Well, so those three things right there, folks, come on, what do you say? Mr. Marran said per pupil funding, school buses, electric buses, it's not gonna happen. It doesn't happen if you don't have any vision. And I'm sorry to say that this town council has no vision. Mr. McAntee has been a member of this council for 6 years. I still can't remember one thing, one idea that came from him that ever got implemented. With honesty and ideas, that's what I'm bringing.
All right, we have one person who couldn't make it tonight but sent in their statement, and I'm going to read that now. This is from Greg Sweet. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this event. Some of my goals for this next term include addressing the short-term rental issue and a homestead exemption. I will also push to update the town's charter and develop a long-range plan for the upkeep of town property. The town council needs to do a better job of managing town council meetings. For me, it's disrespectful to make residents wait 3 to 4 hours to talk with the town council. I will push to move public comment to the beginning of the meetings and during new business on the agendas. Affordable housing is another issue that needs to be addressed. This issue isn't unique just to South Kingstown. It's a problem in all of Rhode Island and across the United States. This has been discussed for at least 8 years, and we have not made much progress. I will push to bring a resolution to the problem. Our school district has a $150 million bond to build a new school athletic complex and tearing down 2 buildings. We need to watch every penny of this project because the remaining. Oh, you finished the sentence. Because we need to finish this project because the remaining school buildings need an additional $34 million in work. The next town council needs. Okay. Sorry.
All right, we're almost to the end of this. I want to thank you all. I come from Westerly. Okay, am I here? Yeah. All right. I come from Westerly, and I feel like maybe I should move here because there's a lot of great candidates. Okay, so before we end, on behalf of the League of Women Voters, we would like to thank UU congregation for inviting us to moderate this forum. We would also like to thank congregation members who set up and are staffing this program, and league members, Jeannie Arthur and Nancy McLean, who have served as timers this evening. And to the candidates, buona fortuna. Good luck. Thank you.